What is up, everybody? This is Magic with Randy. I am Randy, and today I'm talking about my latest RCQ that I went to, what I played, why I played it, and kind of just my experience with it, going over all of it, essentially, and why I think Izzet Prowess is probably one of the best decks in Modern right at this current time. That being said, though, before we get into it, if you guys like what I'm doing, you like what you're seeing, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out. Let me know what you think of Modern right now. Are you happy with it? Are you enjoying the state of it? What do you think of Standard? I'd love to hear from you guys down below. Alright, so this past weekend, I took Izzet Prowess to an RCQ and was able to take down the entire RCQ. Notably, I picked this deck up after not really playing Modern for the last little bit. I was focused more on Standard because of the previous RCs, things like that. So I kind of picked this deck up, really thanks to my friend Dakota. If you guys have paid attention to anything I've been doing, you know that I have a podcast with him that we do semi-regularly when our work schedules allow it. When we go over it, I'll have a link down that in the below. His name is Crawdaddy23 on YouTube here. He does a lot of great content. I'll have a link in the comments down below, or in the description down below, not comments. If you guys want to check him out, great guy, does some great work, really interesting. But he's been playing this deck a lot, and he went to an RCQ on Saturday and took it down. And I'm like, hey, do you think I should take this to my RCQ? I was going to play, Eldrazi. I played that back in Charlotte way back when. It's a deck I kind of know pretty well as a whole. So I was like, I'm just going to take this. I know the deck, whatever. And he's like, no, you should definitely take this deck. It is great. It feels incredibly strong. He's like, just run back the same list that I did, and you'll be fine. So that's essentially what I did. I made like one slight change, mainly because I started digging a little bit into this on Saturday night / Sunday morning. I read up a little bit because Minguchi's been playing this deck a lot. He really loves this deck as a whole. So I took a little bit of advice from him with my sideboard change, just one card. And I'll go over some changes I would make as well moving forward. But for anyone who's not familiar with this deck or hasn't seen this deck or has been living under a rock, Izzet Prowess jumped back up in popularity because of Corey Steelcutter. We all know Corey Steelcutter from Standard. Been making big splashes there. I'm pretty sure it's been making splashes in Pioneer, doing well in Modern as well. And it kind of put Izzet Prowess back on the map. It was a deck that kind of had fallen off to the wayside. No one's really playing it, as this wasn't that good, or quote unquote wasn't that good. And this deck, it gives you like staying power, right? Or it gives you to where like all your spells interactions now are making creatures, right? It's the number one problem with Prowess, right? Is if you answer all the creatures, you don't have to worry about whatever their spells do because they're never going to burn you out essentially. Well, Corey Steelcutter obviously solves that problem when you play Twist for your Bobble, make another guy type situation. All your threats are just being doubled, tripled, whatever. So what kind of plot Izzet Prowess back on the map, essentially, if anyone was curious. So we're running, the traditional creatures here that they always ran. We're running, 4 Dragon Range Channeler. Being able to Surveil, it's very easy to get Delirium with this deck. Honestly, it's almost crazy how easy it is to get Delirium with this deck. And it becomes, 3/3 flyer. We all know the creatures. Surveil is super good with being able to, fix your draws with Mr. Bobble, Iteration, Preordain, all your spells. Then we're playing 4 Swift Spears because probably the number one Prowess creature, I think, printed ever. This has always been in all the Prowess decks. Card continues to be good, even since it was reprinted back in Cons Block, the original Cons Block, and it's just been great ever since then. It's never really been a sad thing. We have Corey Steelcutter, which we all know why this is great, like I said. Being able to turn all your creatures, or all your spells into creatures, essentially. Being able to double spell is super easy with the deck, especially when you have Lava Dart is a double spell card by itself with the flashbacks. It's super good. I want to talk quickly, though, about how incredibly powerful Slickshot Show Off is. I kind of forgot how great this card was when you don't have to play mana for your spells. So, like, Slickshot Show Off with Mistress Bauble, Mutagenic Growth, Lava Dart is just unhinged. Like, being able to, all these just give an extra 2 damage. Lava Dart, like if you play Lava Dart and flash it back with Slickshot Show Off, you're doing an additional 6 damage with it. Because you get 2 for the first cast, or 3 from the first cast, right? You deal 1 damage to them, plus your Slickshot gets 2 plus 2 power. Then you flash it back, you deal another damage to them, gets another 2 power. So it's just like a 6 mana burn spell, a 6 damage burn spell for 1 mana. is kind of ridiculous. Now, obviously, it doesn't always work out like that, right? Like, that's not always the case with how it works. You know, if they kill your Slick Shot Show Off, then you only did 2 damage. I understand the semantics of it, but it is kind of crazy where Slick Shot Show Off definitely, like, just makes your opponent scared to ever tap out. And if they do tap out, you're probably winning. Um, as much as I love Corey Steel Cutter, and I played it in Standard, I still play it in Standard, is a Prowess gamer in Standard because I'm a degenerate. It is unhinged how many games I won just off the back of Slick Shot Show Off alone. It is unhinged how many games I won off of Slick Shot Show Off with it just doing so much work. Like, I think I cast Corey Steel Cutter maybe 3 times in the entire tournament. Slick Shot Show Off was the MVP by miles and miles. Like, it is just so good and so powerful. It's unreal. But then going over a little bit more of the deck, you know, we're playing 4 baubles because it helps us trigger all our prowess for free. Helps trigger Corey Steel Cutter the turn it comes down. Helps with the Surveil, and it helps, you know, get our Delirium as well. Especially Iteration, obviously it's just the best card we can play. We're already skipping on lands. We're running 18 lands total, only 9 actual lands, and of those 9 actual lands, only 7 of them are actually fetchable. So, you know, we don't have a whole lot of mana to work with. We can't afford to play, you know, stock up or anything like that. So, Expressive Iteration is our best card we can play. Plus, not to mention, you know, you can hit Mutagenic Growth, Bobble. These are all free spells that you can cast off of this. So, you can cast this on turn 2 and still have a free spell to play. 4 Preordain, because obviously, you know, just a great card. So happy this card got unbanned. Sad it was ever banned in the first place. 4 Lightning Bolt, because we gotta, you know, kill creatures that are in our way, as well as, you know, just deal damage to the face. Mutagenic Growth, because this card's unreal. Helps protect your creatures against, you know, kind of burn-based damage. Also helps us pump up Slick Shot Show Off to ridiculous levels. You know, ends up being a +4 with that card. Also, can help trigger Corey Steel Cutter the same turn it comes down. If you know, play Dragon Range Channel or Monastery Swiftspear, turn 1, turn 2 Corey Steel Cutter, turn 2 also play Mutagenic Growth on one of your creatures. Make another creature, just super good. Labadart, again, has been a staple in the Prowess deck since this card got printed into Modern during the Horizon sets, so just super good. And then another new addition to this deck is these Violent Urge. So it's a 1 red instant, gives target creature +1 and gains first strike till end of turn. But if you have Delirium, then also gains double strike till the end of turn. And that card is a powerhouse. It is super good. It just lets you win kind of out of nowhere, where, you know, you have, like, especially with Slick Shot Show Off, you play Slick Shot Show Off, you you know, do a couple of, like, play a Bobble, play a Labadart or something, Violent Urge, and it's just now doing, you know, 12 plus damage without trying. And it's super good, and it gives it a +1 on as well with it. So it just, you know, gives it +3 when you're targeting a Slick Shot Show Off. Plus, you're usually casting this only when you have Delirium, so it's giving it double strike. Super good, super powerful. Going over the lands here, we're running 9 fetch lands here. You can mix and match however you want as long as they get red. Doesn't really matter. We're playing 3 mountains here and 3 steam vents and 1 Thundering Falls. Thundering Falls does come up a lot more than you think. The only drawback to Thundering Falls is obviously you draw it. It's super bad. Luckily, I was lucky enough to never draw Thundering Falls. I always got to fetch for it, so it just made it super easy. And we're playing 2 Fiery Islets. English is hard, folks. The damage doesn't really matter because you're almost always outracing your opponent. Obviously, there's certain times when it can come up and it's kind of bad, but being able to have a redraw late in the game is super good. And when I say late in the game, I mean like turn 4 is your late games, essentially, with this deck. So it's just super nice to have, super good. Overall, I think this deck is super powerful. I think that the biggest thing that this deck has really showed me is how powerful Slick Shot Show Off is. I kind of forgot about how great this deck was. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, yeah, but Boros is, like, you know, kind of the most played deck in the format right now, and it has, you know, they say that Prowess has a bad matchup against Boros. Now, in my limited testing, I will fully admit it was limited. I played against Boros, was it 3 times? Yeah, 3 times. I lost to it once, and that was just with me keeping a bad game 2 hand. I won game 1, kept a bad game 2 hand, and it lost a close game 3. And then beat it 2 more times. deck is super powerful against Boros, and this deck really like we always used to say like Boros is so consistent and punishes you for misstepping. This deck takes that to an extreme. My opponent always had to have answers. They always had to have the removal. They always had to have everything. And while they always had to have everything, I was easy to stop them as well. Realistically, you just got to make sure that you're killing their guided souls. That's the biggest one, and trying to keep them off of Flage is obviously another one. I will say the game 3 I lost, I fought through 3 Flages and was still almost there. Like, it is a deck that this deck can definitely power through Flage. It's not just like, oh, they cast Flage, I'm over, game's over. But it is one of those things where the deck itself is very powerful. And like I said, played against Boros 3 times, lost to it once, and a lot of that was my game 2, just me keeping a greedy 1-land hand and not finding second land until turn 5. So we were just never gonna win that game. But the deck is super powerful. It super punishes your opponent. It's just, honestly, I can't rave enough about this deck. And then this is the sideboard that I had taken to my event here. We're playing 4 Consigned to Memories. Makes sense. Just, Eldrazi is a tough matchup as well for this, with their colorless spells. A lot of it, being Transphere and Chalice on 1. You need to kind of have answers to that. So we have Consign for that, plus we have a Meltdown. Consign's also good against the Neoform deck that's running around. You can consign the Galta, the dinosaur trigger, so that way they don't get to put a whole bunch of stuff in, and then you can still beat them through their 10-10, 8-8, whatever, however big Galta is, 12-12 I think, I don't know, doesn't matter. But you can beat them. You can beat a 12-12 essentially. You can't beat them putting in 30 power into play on turn 2. So in there for that, plus just the other casual things. We were playing 4 Unholy Heat as well. This is super good against the Boros matchup. You bring all 4 of these in, just as a way to combat their creatures, have more answers to their what they're doing. Just super good removal spell. Deals with a lot of problematic cards in the format, or a lot of problematic creatures in this format. And then I was running 1 Meltdown as a way to deal with artifacts. I was expecting to deal with some number of Eldrazi. There was no Eldrazi players at my event, so that was kind of good for me. 1 Soul Guide Lantern was in there for the graveyard strategies, in there for the Flage out of Boros. I knew that was going to be a problematic. Running the 3rd Violent Urge, this is where I differed from my friend. I had played the Violent Urge where he had cut it mainly for the more aggressive matchups, or the more kind of like 2 steps passing in a night type situation here. So you want to be able to be more aggressive and just kind of have that turn 3 win where you can just go all in and take your opponent out. It did come up in the sense of I played against Gorios in game 3. I kind of boarded into I was on the draw, so I wanted to be kind of more hyper aggressive aggro to where I could interact with them a little bit better. Or not interact, but go over top of them a little bit easier. And then we had 2 Into the Flood Maw. This is my thing I wanted to play. My friend Dakota had also played it. But I was in there kind of, to help deal with problematic permanents. The biggest problematic permanent that I run into with this deck is, because I played this deck a little bit one time before, and I lost to Eldrazi's Sire of Sanity, not Sire of Sanity, Sire of 7 Deaths, sorry. That 7/7 bullshit creature. And you can definitely go over top of it, but it having First Strike is huge against First Strike and Reach against your Slickshot Show-Offs. So I just want to answer to where I can bounce it, pay 7 life type situation, bounce it, and then deal my opponent, enough damage to kill them. And then I had 2 Spell Pierces as well, kind of for any of the problematic spells. It came in against Gorios. Also good against the Neoform decks running around. Any kind of deck trying to do different things, Storm, things like that. Just a good overall spell, right? Spell Pierce is a good card. We know why it's good. And so this is kind of the sideboard I took. The one change I would make moving forward is I would probably go down 1 Into the Flood Maw and go up 1 more Soul Guide Lantern. I think that I could easily see, going from that to this, just to make it a little bit easier. And I think this is kind of like the 15 I would run as of right now, barring anything changing in the meta, or what you expect in your meta. Of course, if you're just going to be a lot of insert deck, play to your outs. Make sure you are playing a sideboard that fits you best. But if I was going to a random tournament, tomorrow, this is the 75 that I would take moving forward with the Soul Guide Lantern, or second Soul Guide Lantern. That being said, I think the deck is super strong. I think it's super well positioned in the metagame. And I think that Slickshot Show Off is just super powerful. With the lack of like Solitudes running around, I know the black white Ketramos, not Ketramos deck is still running around, not in high numbers, but like outside of that, no one's really running Solitude, which makes Slickshot Show Off so much better. Because if you ever get to a point where like they have to, tap out to try to win to the board or try to get board state advantage, you're just gonna win with Slickshot Show Offs. I plotted Slickshot Show Off promos every time I cast Slickshot Show Off. I'm pretty sure it was from a plotted position. It was just so good. Card's super powerful. It's kind of unreal how powerful this card is. Like I said, Slickshot Show Off I think has kind of fallen to the wayside a lot, and I think people are remembering how good and how broken its prowess ability really is, with being able to give +2 to all with all your non-creature spell triggers. It's just amazing. But this is a deck I would definitely recommend going to any kind of RCQs with. Super good, super well positioned in my opinion. Take a little bit of time to learn the Boros matchup. That's probably one of your tougher matchups as a whole. Just learn kind of how to play it. There's a lot of times where I was lava darting and flashing back lava darting just to kill a Soul Guide Lantern, especially in like the mid-late game. It was just relevant to make sure they don't gain a bunch of extra life. Get a race going on, give their creature flying is super huge. It means that they can block our Slickshot Show-Offs in the next turn. So like just being able to stop that interaction is where you really want to be at. And then of course, try to dodge the flages or fight through them as best as you can. But this is the deck that I would recommend for any RCs going forward, guys. Or RCQ, sorry, going forward. Super powerful, pretty much inexpensive as well. Because you can play any kind of red fetch lands you have. The mana base is pretty cheap as a whole. The Fireys are like worth $1 now. Steam Vents I think are still worth a couple bucks, and Thundering Falls is worth some amount of money. But I mean everything else in the main deck is relatively cheap. 40 Steel Cutters and Slick Shots are kind of your only expensive cards besides Consigns and Paper. Super like budget friendly deck as well as super powerful. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to apologize for being off for so long. I just kind of had some stuff going on in my life, but I'm going to be back making regular videos again. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll catch you guys next time.